Hey guys, so I'm going to talk about the fundamentals of a good diet here, what constitutes the foundations of building, a sensible, sustainable diet that brings you close to your results. So, number one is adherence or consistency, sustainability. If you look at Eric Helm's food pyramid, it's sort of the foundation. And on the Renaissance periodization diet, for example, when they list priorities, it's sort of all encompassing. It's the perimeter around their table, and that means it's 100% important. If you can't adhere to a plan, then it doesn't matter how great the macros are or super scientific everything is, and the meal timing, it's pointless because you can't adhere to it. So number one is you need to be honest with yourself about your preparedness to be consistent and dedicated, and then match the diet plan you set up to your ability to adhere to it. And obviously, that means it needs to be a positive step in the right direction. If you just want to be on a junk food diet and that you could adhere to that, but it's not going to take you to your goals. So it needs to be a step in the right direction from where you're going. But going from being on a crap junk food diet to try and eat super clean 100% of the time is unrealistic. So first be mindful of that. What can you adhere to? What positive changes can you make and sustain? I think it was Zoe Lee who said something along the lines of if the diet you're doing now you can't see yourself doing in a year's time, then you're on the wrong diet. It's flawed. So you need to get the mindset the diet isn't just this short-term fix. It's your long-term healthy eating plan that takes you towards your goals. So once you've got that factor in place, it's a sustainable diet, you're able to stick to it consistently and you can adhere to the plan, then we get into the priorities of the details. And the biggest factor, whether it be for muscle gain or for fat loss, is calorie balance. Calories are king. If you want to build muscle, you'll need to be in a surplus. If you want to drop fat, you're going to need to be in a deficit. We can't really do anything else about that. That's foundational. So, well, the calories in king. I often talk to clients actually when I'm dealing with them in person about the three T's of nutrition, and in them having a hierarchy of needs. And number one is total calories. So that's the first T. Number two is macronutrients. That's the second T, and that is your type of calories. So proteins, carbs, fats. The ratio between them, what's optimal for you, what gets you towards reaching your goals in the most efficient way possible. And the third T is timing, and that's nutrient timing. So that can be looked at as your meal spread throughout the day as one element, and also the timing of specific macronutrients throughout the day. So for example, do you time certain foods around your workout? Now, I listed those on a hierarchy of needs. Total calories is most important. So as I said, calories are king. Get that right. So if you want to be losing fat, make sure you're in a deficit. The other stuff doesn't matter unless you're in a deficit. Once you ticked the being in a deficit box, then you can look at the second T, the macronutrients, the type of those. So making sure you hit protein right. Pretty good rule of thumb is a gram of protein per pound of body weight. Based on certain things, we can up that or bring it down a little bit, but as a rule of thumb, that's a good place to be. Then setting fats to make sure hormonal systems are functioning optimally, about 0.6 grams per kilo. We'll do that pretty well. And then you can basically fill in the rest from carbohydrates. If you're someone that trains hard and frequently, which I imagine you are after watching this video, you're going to need a reasonable amount of carbs to fuel your training, so you can then fill those in from carbohydrates. And then after that, we look at timing. So how many meals per day, spreading the meals out to make sure you get muscle protein synthesis spiked throughout the day, and also timing your carbohydrates around your workouts is probably a good idea. So now if we look at those three things, total calorie balance, if you're looking at fat loss, for example, being in a calorie deficit is the key and will determine your success largely. Tweaking the other things can maybe do some finer margins, just some marginal gains essentially. So it means maybe you retain muscle better, and you drop a higher proportion of fat from that scale weight that you see coming off. So that's probably takes care of 80% of the things. If you just get your calories in the deficit and hit your macros, the IIFYM crowd, that's probably going to get you 80% of the results. Is it going to be 100% if you're looking to get ripped to step on stage as a bodybuilder? Are you leaving some gains in the tank if you just follow the IIFYM? I'd say you are, because some other factors play in. So the next most important one, as we've discussed, is nutrient timing. Then we can talk about things like micronutrients, food composition, and supplements. Now, if we say that calorie balance and macronutrients is like 80% of your results, nutrient timings 10%, probably micronutrients, food composition, supplements, they all add up to the final 10% to take you to 100%. And I'd suggest probably a fairly even split between them. So, are they important? Yes. Are they as important as being in a caloric deficit for fat loss or a surplus for gaining mass? Absolutely not. So it's don't major in the minors. You see so many people, they're in a massive surplus, they're trying to drop fat and they're wondering what fat burner to take. Don't be that guy or girl. Focus on your basics, do those exceptionally well, execute them consistently, then you can worry about the sexy stuff, the little details. So nutrient timing for sure plays an important role, but it's a relatively small role unless you're looking to compete at a high level. And the more advanced you get, you need to grab on to the marginal gains. The aggregation of marginal gains is important. It's what the Sky Cycling team have talked about, and they've been hugely successful. Now, for example, food composition, it actually has a little impact on your body comp or performance, but does impact on long-term health. So the implication of that, if the longevity of your sport, if you're going to be competing in your sport, whether it be physique sport or football, rugby, tennis, whatever, if you want to be in it for the long haul, then longevity is a factor, and health will play into that. So then maybe you start thinking about your food composition a little more. Micronutrients, also a minor detail. If you're in a surplus, you probably take care of them. If you're gaining mass, micronutrients are probably less of a concern. In a deficit, maybe it's an issue, and then that's when you might have to look at really keeping an eye on your diet to make sure you're not missing out on anything. As a rule of thumb, though, if you're getting plenty of servings of fruits and vegetables, you'll be doing pretty well. And then maybe using a supplement, greens drink or a multi, just to be an insurance policy on those micronutrients. So that's where, again, supplements, they're a minor factor. They very much fall into the marginal gains category. Some do work though, so it's not like ignore supplements, they're all rubbish. Some of them definitely have efficacy and will enhance your results, but you've got to trade off. Most supplements don't come cheap. Are they worth investing your money in, or are you better off just focusing your attention on the big rocks of calorie balance, macros, and maybe just timing of nutrients? Anyway, if you get those things right, you'll be onto a winner, a really solid start to have the fundamentals of a good diet in place. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to help out. See you next time.